Hi, my name is Dawn Bredeweg. My history is I was born and raised in Bethel Christian Reformed Church, and that is off Granville Avenue. It was a very thriving church, and it was a wonderful church to be raised in and baptized in and become a Christian in. Um, my husband and I, we did not get married there. We got married at Calvary just because they had a center aisle there, but we were members at Bethel, and he was a deacon elder at Bethel, and went through some transition time, and it closed. So we transferred our membership over to Lee Street, and we lived over on Federal Street. It was a great place to come home to. I was a GEMS leader. My husband was a deacon and elder here at Lee Street. Great family, wonderful people. Loved the message. Jim Bohr was here as a minister, and he was a phenomenal pastor. There was a season when our children got very involved at Calvin Christian, so we went transferred over to Ivanrest Christian Reformed Church, very active at that church. And as our children grew up and decided to go to different churches, Dara and I said, where are we going to go now? So, and I'll tell the story about when we decided, do we want to go to Ada Bible, a big church where nobody knows you're coming and going, or do we want to go back to Lee Street where it's home? So remember the first time we walked in and Kent Rotman said to us, welcome home. We knew that solidified our membership here. So ever since then, we've been here. So all in about probably 30 years we've been here. So great place. So Bethel was a community church. It started out as a neighborhood church because it was really Dutch Christian Reformed settlement in that community. I was born and raised on Naylor Street. I can still name the neighbors that were on the church, and people just moved out, and it was kind of, they went to suburbia, and people would drive back into church, and people started going to church elsewhere, and membership kind of dwindled. We did a lot of community outreach and neighborhood outreaches. It just didn't work. So it was a struggle. We had a very close-knit community in the church. People were wonderful. We decided at that point in time, it's like, we just need to close the doors. So a lot of people went to Roosevelt Park at that time, and a lot of people went to Lee Street, and many went to LaGrave. So we lived on Federal at that time. We had a home, and it was close to home. We had a lot of friends who were here, and we developed some wonderful friendships here. Going to Bethel, and again, as it was a really community church because it was the Dutch Christian Reformed settlement, as people were leaving, you saw people drive in. And I think I see the same thing at Lee Street. You see people out of the community, but still they have a love for this neighborhood and really the love for the community that's around here. Yeah, I think the hopes are, I look at my family and my children and grandchildren, and it's like they are the future of the church. And how do you build that kingdom to move forward? And they're going to put their roots in other churches. And you just hope that this church, that, the community that we're here, those young children realize the benefit of this church and love the community as everyone here does. When we lived on Federal, it was, there were a lot of wonderful families, as there are today. But it's changed in the outlook that I have. I'm Dutch Christian Reformed, blonde, blue-eyed person. The community's changed to more Hispanic in nature, and I'm a deacon, and we serve the needs of the community. So you see a lot of varying people, varying degrees of people who come in. You need a request, come to church, and there's just all kinds of different people who are here, which is wonderful. And that's what makes up God's kingdom. So I'm serving my 4th year for deacon coming up, and it's been wonderful. It's serving households. There are many households that have different needs, and it's a wonderful experience. And we get a lot of community requests, and we're getting to know the community and really hoping you plant a seed for those people who come and asking they have financial needs. And we want to be that source of help for them. And you hope you plant that seed that it's like, what, the church helped me. I need to come back, and maybe it's their transition to the Lord. When we came here, and our second was born, so that's 30 plus years ago. So we've experienced a lot. We have many friends, experienced a lot of, situations with families and friends. My husband died in 2019. I couldn't have lived through that without the church. So, it was a very painful, raw time, and the church was here to help me. So, and that's, I think, the biggest thing about this church. The friendliness and the kindness, and everybody knows everybody else and knows the stories, and everybody loves everybody no matter what the story is.